Joining me today on KUMB TV is a bona fide West Ham United legend, yet he's never kicked a ball in anger for the club. A terrace icon who stood on the north and south banks and the Chicken Run for more than 50 years before the club relocated to Stratford in 2016. He's not just well known among West Ham circles, but the footballing fraternity nationwide and even further afield. Perhaps lesser known is that he's one of the club's most knowledgeable supporters when it comes to West Ham trivia. His deep knowledge of the club and its history perhaps being matched by only a handful of others. And so it is my pleasure to once again welcome the man, the myth and the legend, Mr. Bill Gardner, to KUMB TV. Bill, it's great to have you on the channel. How you been keeping?
Thank you, Brett, having me on.
Yeah, it's as we were just saying, it's strange circumstances in which we meet now, with London and the surrounding areas being placed into Tier 4. How's that affecting you at the moment, and your sort of ability to get around? And
I get really fed up. I walk every day, I exercise every day, but it's like being in an open prison. I was in Brixton on remand, and I'll be honestly true with you, I feel more of a prisoner now than I did then.
Yeah, it's tough for everyone. It's difficult circumstances all round. Everyone's struggling, I guess. But I suppose we've all got to just get on with it and crack on, really. But It has, of course, been a while since we last met. I mean, I think it was prior to the planned 2018 demonstrations that I last saw you, Bill, and that was on a boat in the shadow of the Olympic Stadium, where you were giving a passionate speech about the club and its history, which clearly demonstrated your love for West Ham. And that really is a genuine passion of yours, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I love West Ham, all my heart. I love football, as simple as that. Football is everything to me. It's what I do. I have a few hobbies, but football is the main one.
Did you play much when you was a younger man? Was it something you grew up with?
I was at Fulham for 9 months as a kid. Got kicked out because a bloke kicked me and I punched him in the head. And the youth team manager there said to me, "I see you're gone." He did tell me to come back when I could control my temper, but it never happened. And I've played a lot of Sunday football. I've run football teams for 35 years, all age groups, all different kids, some with disabilities, which I really enjoy doing. I've done that for 10 years. Kids with special needs, it's brilliant, To see them kids every Saturday morning they was there, before West Ham home games. I used to do it early so I could get off to the game. And they'd all be there in their kit, all ready to go. Really good players. And some of them have gone on and played a decent standard, even though some of them wasn't as fit and able as you'd like.
When you left Fulham, was sort of that as far as your plans to become a pro player?
I'll be truthful with you, I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Watching today's football, watch the games that are on, I would have lasted about 3 minutes. So at the end of the day, I'm quite happy. I played local football with my mates and that, and enjoyed it. Played in London, played in the Newham Youth League, the Manor Park Youth, and I enjoyed my time. Yeah.
And what about now, Bill? Do you, outside of supporting West Ham, do you have any involvement with any local club?
No, not my local club, but both my boys are at Crimpian Casuals in the Bostik Premier. My oldest boy, James, is the manager, and my youngest one, Dan's the goalkeeper. He's played nearly 500 games for him.
Wow. But
I go over there, and great little club with loads of history, and with fantastic people supporting them as well. Although their support is prominently from Chelsea, Fulham fans, but they're as loyal as it can be. 2 years ago, we went to Budapest and played in a tournament, won a tournament out there, which hadn't run for 100 years. As we're a strictly amateur club, nobody gets wages, All these other clubs in that Bostik Premier, some of them get good money, but our boys don't get nothing. And but they play with their hearts.
The Casuals, I think, are one of the oldest football clubs in the country, are they not?
Yeah, Crimpian Casuals, there was 2 teams that amalgamated in the 30s, I think it was. And their history goes back. That was the reason why England wear white, why Real Madrid wear white. They took football to all parts of the world, like mercenaries. And missionaries, sorry, not mercenaries. No, that's another story for another day. But no, yeah, it's yeah, they're a great little club. I go there when I can, and yeah, I go and watch Dorking with me mate Doogie sometimes.
Yeah.
If he gets me in, but with all this shutdown and that, it's a bit. I'm getting a bit fed up.
How does that sort of, it's not really grassroots, I suppose, it's amateur football, but how does that compare to, you know, sort of the Premier League and going to watch West Ham for you?
Well, you get used to it. It's obviously different. There's not as much technique. It's not as quicker, but you do get used to it, and it don't take you long to get into it. I mean, I've lots of mates at West Ham. I've been over there and watched cricket cables, and they've all come back for more. We have one lad who travels from Basel and over to us, which we're near Chessington World of Adventures. We're far from there, so a lot of people come over there, and we, like I said, we've got great support. There's so many flags around the ground. The boys really enjoy themselves to go. Some nights in the night games, they turn the lights off. They're still in the stand singing. It was like what football used to be like when we all first went.
Yeah, yeah.
But now,
yeah, it must in some ways, I suppose, feel like a bit of a throwback to a long gone era, because, you know, as we know, the professional football in England has changed so much since even before the Premier League started.
Like this VAR's killing the game. You know, I'd rather than the referee make a mistake than all this waiting around. Was it a goal? Was it not a goal? Football's a spontaneous game where if you score, you celebrate. But nobody does no more because nobody knows. You know, and it's like linesmen. A linesman's out there. All they do now is off and on. They're not allowed to have an opinion. They're not allowed to say anything. And I do think the standard of refereeing has gone down because they're not allowed to use their personalities. I believe I was a referee for a while, and I used to enjoy doing it. And I believe you have to have a bit of personality, you know. When the bloke on the line says, "Referee, you're bent," you know, and I go over and tell them, "You don't shut and stick this flag up your ass." It soon calms them down, you know. But nowadays, these lines with a referee don't sound, you know, maybe that's a bit extreme. But you know, nobody goes to cheat. Nobody goes to cheat anybody.
Yeah.
You make mistakes, and they're honest mistakes, and everyone makes honest mistakes.
Yeah,
And, ain't the same.
Yeah, I was just smiling there, Bill, at the thought of you being a match official, because I can imagine that the number of incidents of sort of abuse of the referees and officials were probably a little bit lower when you were in charge of a game.
I got some from people, but the thing is, I didn't take it. I just, you know, immediately nipped it in the bud.
Yeah.
It's like I refereed a few friendly games, and the boys were getting a bit over enthusiastic in the tackle, and I just say to the manager, take him off for 10 minutes, or I'll send him off. And I know that ain't in the laws of the game to do that, but I did that and saved him sending the ball off. And then I had him back on good as gold. But you just got to use your common sense and your personality.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, you know, I absolutely agree. I think that the referee's ability to employ a little bit of common sense has completely been taken out there, isn't it? It's all very clinical, and you know, you see the referees. And I think one of the things about professional football is that for me, as a kid growing up, you know, irrespective of the money involved or anything like that, the game on a Sunday over your local rec or your local common was always the same as that at Upton Park or at Old Trafford or whatever. And it's not the case now, is it? It's a different game.
I mean, when I first started going to West Ham, the players were on 3 times the average wage of the man watching them. I mean, now it's gone ridiculous, you know. When you had Ashley Cole a few years ago and said couldn't live on 60 grand a week, well, he wants to come and live on my old age pension. He wants to see how tough it can be. You know what I mean? But these people, they just live in cuckoo land. You know, this sport. What you've got to remember is a footballer gets mollycoddled from day one by the clubs. If they think he's got a future, and you always know, because I scouted for a lot of years, you always know the ones that they like, because they get all the extras, they get the tickets, they get the better kit. And then the other 8 or 9 are there to make the team. Both my lads were at West Ham's Academy. My eldest boy was there for 2 years. My boy Dan, the goalkeeper, he was there for 3. So, and it was a great experience. You know, to see your boys play for the team you support, it's unbelievable. But it's also equally upsetting when they get released. Both of them were released, and I've got no qualms about it whatsoever. It was most probably the right decisions at the time they took, and But to say Dad was too small to me when he's nearly 6'5" tall now, he's unbelievable. He's unbelievable.
Obviously released him a little bit early. What sort of time are we talking about, Bill? When were the boys at the academy?
Dan got released at 15, nearly 16, and he's 27.
Okay, so that would have been what, the Kirbishley era around then?
Yeah, it must have been. Ludo coached my boy Dan.
Yeah.
Jerome John, they used to do the coaching.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Stuart Slater was doing the under-10s, which he says in the book. I used to listen to him talk to the boys in his group, spoke with a hell of a lot of passion. That man truly does love West Ham United, you know.
Well, we should really get onto the book, shouldn't we? This is the reason I've invited you onto the show today, and we could speak effusively about West Ham all day, but I want to get onto the book. Can you just show us the cover there? You've got it in front of you. This is the brand new book which Bill has released just ahead of Christmas. It is, of course, as you can see, they're called The Man, the Myth, the Legend. It's not your first book, though, Bill, is it? Because
the second one, I've done one with Cass,
yeah,
and I was very pleased with that. But this one is a different type of book to all them football books. I got fed up. The reason I did this book was I've been mentioning over 35 other books by other fans from other clubs. I got a little mention, and they always like try and put me down.
Yeah,
and I felt I needed to tell people my true story of my life. And what I said to them was, I want you to try and put people into the position I was in when I was a kid, because I had a terrible childhood, and football's all I had. West Ham was my family.
Yeah,
Always happy. But yeah, it's going well. You can get it on Amazon, or contact Abe on ABE Bill Gardner 66@gmail.com, and I'll do signed copies with people if they want them. I'll send them off, but they won't get them for Christmas now. Because today's the posting.
A good present for birthdays, if anyone's got birthdays or anything coming up.
A lot of women have enjoyed it. It's not just a football story. This is the true life story.
Yeah.
This is, like I said when I've done the film on YouTube, it will shock a few people. You know, I've never told anybody about some of the situations that I've said in this book. Mosler got it out of me. He's a great reporter, and he's got that out of me, and I wouldn't have told anyone else. I wouldn't have told my mate Cash, because to be fair, I felt a bit embarrassed. I didn't feel embarrassed telling it to Moz, because we've only known each other a few years. But I look back and I'm glad I've done it, and it puts people into my shoes and they see it, you know.
Yeah, okay.
I did.
Good stuff. I mean, I think it's 16 years now since we sat down for a chat ahead of Good Afternoon, Gentlemen. I think it was at the Canning Town Working Men's Club, if I remember rightly. It was. Yeah, it was yourself and Cass. I've actually still got my invite to the launch night tucked inside the cover there.
Give you another invite, because none of us can go anywhere now, can we? You put a fork and shame in your foot, and you'd be better off, I think.
Well, I was going to say the book is also available at all good bookshops, but as you say, the problem is finding one that's open right now.
No, it's not available in bookshops. It's only available on Amazon or via Mosler. Okay.
Well, we'll flash up the contact address again throughout the video when we publish it, and we'll allow, give the Amazon link as well, so people have got plenty of options to buy. But just let's have a little chat about the book. But I mean, it's interesting there that you say there were things you said to Moz that you felt uncomfortable talking about with Cass. This really is.
I was abused as a kid, Graeme.
Yeah.
And I never told anyone. It was my secret. I kept it to myself. Even my first two wives, I've been married twice. I'm with my third girlfriend at the moment. I couldn't come out of it. I couldn't say really what I wanted to say. It was more in line with all the other football books with Cass coming out at that time. This is totally different.
Yeah, I mean, is that something to do with sort of the changing culture generally in society? The fact that more people are prepared to stand up now and say, look, I went through this. whereas perhaps it was sort of a bit more of a macho culture previously. Is there something in there?
Admit to what went on, like I did in this book about some of the parts of my life. Maybe it is the macho culture, like you said, but for me, it was a story that had to be told because a lot of people would put me down that don't know me. I'm a fiercely loyal person, and I didn't like the way some people were saying things. So it was time to put the slate clean, and I did, and I have.
Yeah, you mentioned, Bill, in the book that it was essentially like a war zone at home. Mum and Dad were constantly fighting. And of course, there was, at that time, I suppose, there were no social services that you could turn to, nothing like Childline or anything like that, some of the opposition.
There was nothing. I used to get beaten regularly with a broom handle, with a big lump of rubber. It used to go on plastic. It used to go on the butt of the sink. I used to get whooping with that. And my arms were permanently black and blue. And if that happened now, people would have took me into care. And but it didn't happen, you know what I mean? And then I was sexually abused by my mum. She was a bit naughty when I look back at things now, things that shouldn't be done. But I lost my sister when she was 4 years old, and my mum and dad never recovered from it. And nobody knows what goes through somebody's mind when they lose a child. If you lose your family, you know, I just can't put myself in their shoes. You know, my dad cracked up, my mum turned violent, and there I was, and I was the brunt of it all. So I left home, I lived in the graveyard, and I worked for gypsies, late 14, early 15 years old. I used to do pit fighting to earn money. It was good money, I was getting really good money. I used to hide the money in the walls in the cemetery because nobody would go there. And you know, somebody queried it the other day. They said, right, you earned £8,000, you could have bought a house. Well, I couldn't have bought a house, but I could have bought a flat. But what 15-year-old goes into an estate agent and says, I want to buy that flat cash? You know, first of all, they've contacted the police, then the social services, and I would have been whisked away, you know?
Yeah.
So what I did, I ate quite well every day, and I kept the money till I was settled enough to go back and get it. Bought my first car, which was a disaster, which most people are when they buy their first car. And I had a few quid to get me going, like in the world, you know. Money's never been my motivation.
Yeah.
Because my needs are very small. I lead a very humble life. I don't drive a big flash motor. My car's 20 years old. I live in an ex-council flat. Me and my girlfriend Sarah, we like the simple things in life. We like walking. We like nature. And we like people. That's the main thing. People is the main thing, especially now. Old people, they love to talk. You know, I mean, I talk to people every day around the lake where I walk, and they just want to talk to somebody. They've got nobody.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I mean, I'm involved with a local football club, and you quite often see the old boys or the old girls coming across the park on their daily stroll, and you can sit there and lose half hour, you know, but it means such a lot to them, you know. You can see that, so I really get where you're coming from there. But this was the 50s when you were growing up, and how do you sort of what do you remember about the old East End, and how do you think it's changed compared to today?
The old East End was people more friendly. I think that there was more sharing. I think after the war, people shared a lot of things. You know, if somebody had vegetables and somebody could get a bit of meat or something from they used to like do that. And then when I was born, I was like 1954. It was the end of the war. Things were just coming back to normal, and people were friendly. But I think a lot of that's been, since a lot of people have moved away from the East End now and don't live there. It's a difficult thing to say, really. The friendliness is not there no more. We have the what I call the East End Entrepreneur Group, which is a group of young men that all think they're going to be millionaires and all that. And if money's your motivation, I say good luck to them. But I'll be fair, I've never been motivated by a pound note. People might say, well, you've got a book out. Yeah, but we don't know fortunes out of this.
No.
You know what I mean? I might get a holiday out of this year. if I'm allowed to go anywhere. I take the ball and chain off and jump on a plane somewhere with 3 masks on, you know, God knows what else. A breather, oxygen tank, you know. That's the way I look at it, you know.
Yeah.
My needs are very simple. I don't go to places like wild places like Ibiza and all the Corfus. I go to places like Slovenia and places that are pleasant, you know, that you ain't going to get the lunatics running up and down, jumping up and down. I like quietness. I like being able to sit and relax, and be peaceful, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, of course, one of the foreign places I think you talk about in the book that you have a fair bit of affection for was a little place in Italy, a place called Palermo, where of course West Ham played some, what was it, 13, 14 years ago now. And that wasn't quite a peaceful venture though, was it? That particular break?
The day after all the trouble, because our thing was delayed, and when we got to the hotel, he double booked and he sent us out to the remote part of Palermo. But a lot of my mates was involved in a certain amount of aggravation we got provoked by the Palermo supporters. And I was gutted I wasn't there the night before with the group I was with. There was 70 of us together. And I see television programs on Palermo, it looks great. But that night it wasn't great for us.
Would you say that was one of your best trips though with West Ham going? I mean, I know you've said before that
on the night of the game that we marched from the town centre to the ground. I think it was about nearly 5 miles, I think. And we walked up there all together. The police wanted us to get on these buses with plastic windows because they thought we'd be bricked. And I said, no, we ain't getting on the buses, we're walking. And that's what we did. We all walked, and I look at it as one of the best things I've ever done. Yeah. One of the proudest things I've done as a West Ham fan. It was like we showed that we don't bend or buckle. We don't bend or buckle for no
one. We've spoken about your difficult childhood and I say difficult. I mean it's about as difficult as anyone could possibly have as a kid from your account. It's horrific. Your account of growing up, but I think it's fair to say that the love that you didn't find at home, you found at West Ham. But it could have been somewhere else, couldn't it? Because I think your dad was a Spurs fan, wasn't he?
My dad was a Spurs fan. When he died, he had a copper in his pyjamas, and he used to take me over there one week, West Ham, and I used to hate it over there. That was in about 61, 62.
Yeah.
They had a great team. They'd done the double. They used to play great football. There was no doubt about it. It was good football. But I never felt comfortable there with them. I always wanted to be with my own kind, West Ham fans. And nothing's changed.
What was the difference, Bill, at the time between? Because as you say, Spurs had a fantastic team. Jimmy Greaves was, I think, was there at the time, and at that time we were still kind of the youth was coming through, wasn't it, at West Ham? But it wasn't for another 3 years or so before we got to that point where we were challenging for trophies, winning the FA Cup, the Cup Winners' Cup, and of course winning the World Cup the year after. So what was it about West Ham? It was specifically the people, a different breed.
It was always the people. I liked the smell, and like I said before, it did stink over there, didn't it? You know what I mean? But I used to enjoy all that. I used to talk to lots of people on the way down to the ground, and in later years, but it was always more homely than Spurs. I would never have been a Spurs fan ever.
Yeah.
I mean, know that and all.
Yeah. And the other thing is, it's perhaps by chance that a lot of people know you for being involved in what was a very active terrace scene at the time.
Yeah.
But I've always looked at it when sort of looking at your situation and thought that is more of just fate and sort of accident. It wasn't. I get the impression it was never something. Unlike some people, it was never something that you actively sought to be involved in. But by dint of being a West Ham fan and being at things like, the famous Harry Cripps game when you would have been 15 or 16, you were just involved as part of fate. Would that be fair?
When I was homeless, I learned very quickly to look after myself. I was boxing, I was doing wrestling, I was doing taekwondo, I was doing a lot of fighting things. And in all fairness, I love to fight. I love to fight. I like competition.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I liked. And the football, I used to go to football because of the football. I loved West Ham. But I was going with my family. And if I felt my family were threatened, then I felt it was an obligation of me, let's say, looking at myself as a father or a grandfather, to stand up and help these people. And that's what I did. And then from that, you get a reputation, and it gets stretched, it gets pulled, and then, you know, life becomes very different, you know. I've never been able to go to West Ham and go in the old Upton Park outside, go through anything to eat without being bothered by people. But I would never be rude to them and say, like, you know, sort of I'm eating. I would listen to them, I'd hear what they want to say. I've shook more babies' hands than the Pope. It's simple as that. And I would always continue to do it because I regard them as the best people on the planet. We have had a few arseholes, I must admit, but we ain't got as many as what a lot of the other clubs have. And I just love West Ham fans. You know, when I was homeless, I used to exist for 6 days to live that one day go football, and then back getting wringing wet, freezing cold. You know.
How does it feel sort of now? No, without being rude, you're perhaps entering your twilight years now. I mean, how does it feel looking back at your life and sort of realizing with just how much affection you're held by the fans? You know, as you say, people you don't know come up to you in the street. They just want to have their picture taken with you. I mean, that must be a good feeling.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. I get astounded by it because you know, it makes you feel like you're royalty, and I'm not. I'm just Joe Public. I'm just another bloke. I'm just me. I would have done that for anybody. You know, if I felt somebody was threatened, I would help them, and it doesn't matter what team they support. They could support me or Tottenham, Manchester United. If there was somebody in trouble, I would help them. And a lot of people, if they owned up, would say that I had done that in the past. I have helped other teams' fans. It's not about me v them at all. It's about them going to attack my friends, my family, and I stand up. And you know, I trained for a lot of years, and I won't say I enjoyed it because I don't think I did. In all fairness, looking back now, it was just something I had to do.
Yeah,
and I did. And you know, it's like when they arrested me. They said I was the general, the leader of the ICF. I was never in the ICF. And that was proven in the end. And all the people that were in the ICF would say, no, he wasn't in there. Because I don't need gangs. I don't need gangs around me. I don't need anyone wrapped around me. Simple as that.
Yeah, you've always very much been your own man in that sense.
Yeah, I've always been a man and always would be.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, like you said, I'm in my twilight years. I ain't in good health. And, you know, them days, I think, they're behind me now. When you get older, you just want a bit of peace and quiet. And everything changes, you know. I'm getting plenty of peace and quiet with this shutdown we're having, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, ain't that the truth? But it means we can sit down and do interviews like this, I suppose.
Yeah, you know, I get up in the morning, I hear the birds singing. There's no planes going over.
Yeah.
You know, where I live. And I just enjoy the simple things in life now.
Yeah, yeah.
We live a bit like that programme I'm telling you, the Alaskan bush people. I'm a little bit like that. Them, you know what I mean? We do all simple things, my family.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's a good way to live. And you know, you take away the pressures of modern day life, and it's. I hear you anyway. I hear where you're coming from. You know, it's all the material things, as you know, it doesn't mean anything, does it? At the end of the day,
that's half the problem. Is we've been you have all the computers, all the iPads, all your phones. I mean, look at my phone. That's called a Dora. That's #1 in Sweden. If you was an elk, but that's as far as that goes. I don't want to be stuck on it all day long. I don't want to have a coffee cup in one hand and my phone in my face the other. You know, I like to see what I see. I don't want to take a picture of something. I'd rather see it with my eyes. Yeah. Visualize it and remember it. You know, technology. I'm a dinosaur. I'm a dinosaur. If it wasn't for us, we wouldn't be able to do this. What we do now.
Well, thanks to Mozza that we can. I mean, one thing that I wanted to ask, I mean, it's you've always been, I wouldn't say shy in a sense, but kind of sort of fairly reserved in terms. I mean, I remember when we spoke about Good Afternoon, Gentlemen, we did that interview, and you really didn't want to put yourself forward at the time. I remember you saying that you had no interest at all in achieving cult celebrity status, which of course, because of things like Football Factory, I think Dougie Brimson's books and all that, there was a big thing at the time, wasn't there? And I think that's when you were saying that there was a lot of people talking about you, but as you said a few minutes ago, you felt that you had to respond because there was things being said that weren't entirely true. But yeah, that's is that fair to say that you've never been interested in that at all?
No, not at all. You know, like I say, my love is football. Wanted to go, wanted to come home, wanted to go with my friends, come home with my friends. But in the old days, you wasn't allowed to do that many times, especially away from home. Because like I've said before, we dress differently to people up north. We act differently. They know a few faces. I mean, nowadays everyone's on the phone. They all know what they all look like. A lot of them are mates, you know what I mean? But I can't be mates with somebody who tried to hurt me or my friends. I can't do it, you know?
Yeah. Back then, of course, another thing we spoke about was Terry Brown was in charge of the club then.
Yeah.
And it was the time of the Brown Out organisation and all that. And I recall you mooted the idea of starting a new independent West Ham United AFC at the time. We have a different set of owners now. Terry's long gone and the Icelandics have come in and gone, and we have, you know, the current board. But I saw an interview with you fairly recently, and I think you said that you'd rather have the devil and Hitler in charge of our club at the moment than the current administration.
I'd rather them all day long, because at the end of the day, we was promised a lot of things and they're not delivered on them. They said they'd take us to the next level. But what's the next level? I mean, I think all West Ham fans should realise a top 10 finish in any season is success for us, because these people, they don't have the ambition of the fans. The fans at West Ham have always wanted to win more than the team and the board. And the only way we're going to go to the next level, if you have a manager in place who can look at good young players and bring them in and bring them on. We don't want to buy people that we can't sell and make money out of. But you just got to have ambition. I mean, let's get it right. West Ham in Europe, that used to be a day at the hypermarket for us, you know, let's get it right. Europe. We went into Europe twice. We lost to a team that sounded like a car, Astra Georgia. Right? And at the end of the day, there was a lot of people went over there at them games, and they would have loved to have gone on and seen a bit of success. But I don't think we're going to get it with these people. I think that when the opportunity comes for them to sell, they should sell, because they're not going to get an easy buy from no one. Once all this is over, this has been their saviour. It won't be their saviour when we get back. Believe me. It might be a good idea to have a look at, lick their wounds, think carefully about what money they want for their club, because let's get it right, we don't even own the ground. And try and make it, they say the experience. I don't have an experience of going over there. I've been over there all the time since we moved here. Ate it. I ate it from the minute I get off the train, walk through the shopping centre, if you can get through without them locking you in, and then the route march back after the game. They can make it more. Let's have some more street vendors there. Make it look like Old Trafford. You've got them outside selling scarves and all that. We could have that. West Ham fans could be as passionate as anybody. But sometimes I feel that we've got to look at ourselves. You know, you go over there, you have one chorus of bubbles before the game, half-hearted one at half-time, sung by 1 in 50. We don't get behind them enough for me. We can make it a real daunting place for people to come to. You know, team might like coming, but we have no fire in our belly, no songs. I mean, one song, and let's get it right, as much as Bubbles is our song, it's a defeatist song. We need something rousing, we need something that people can get behind. So all you songwriters out there, get writing.
Yeah, get your finger out. So, talking of Bubbles,
postcard.
Yeah. Let us know if you've got any ideas. Let us know. You mentioned Bubbles there, and of course, another Bubbles that we know very well, Paul, who is heavily involved with the Hammers United movement at the moment. You did a really great video actually with Paul a few weeks ago, where you sat down and you had a good old chat about all things West Ham. You're fully supportive of what Paul and the team are doing there.
100% behind. 100% behind Hammers United. I didn't want no part in in the hierarchy with it, but I do support him 100%. I've known Paul Bubbles for many, many years, and he's 100% West Ham.
Yeah.
And I like Tross and all. Tross is a very bright lad.
Yeah.
And the other lad, I think he's O'Brien, is he called? What's the other fella's
name? Is it Andy? Andy?
Yeah, I like him, and always speaks a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
But what the board have got to realise, we're not at war with them. But if you don't give us airtime, then you know what I'm saying, we don't have nothing to do with you, and that puts people's backs out. And like I say, this hold up in the games has helped them a lot, but it won't always last. We want success. My dream was to see West Ham playing one Champions League game, and now with it going down to 4th and 5th in the league, just a preliminary round would do me. You know what I mean? But I'm never going to see that. I'll be 6 foot under and dead, and my arse healed up before West Ham get into Europe. You know what I mean? That's the way it is, isn't it? But we want success. We want success, and it doesn't mean you've got to spend millions and millions on it. If you're shrewd, you get good people looking at for youth, good people looking at non-league. Just picking a rough diamond up.
Leicester.
Yeah, Leicester have done it.
It's a funny season, isn't it? This year we've seen some bizarre results. You know, Villa putting 7 past Liverpool the other night, putting 7 past Palace. We of course good result. Yeah, well, yeah. Well, what do you put that down to, though, Bill? I mean, do you think the crowds there?
I think a lot of it is down to a manager can get his views across now all the parts of the pitch,
right,
and get heard. I think the players come out and all the players are playing under no pressure because nobody's going to be moaning at them. So they play it like they would if they was playing a training game. But at the end of the day, football needs fans. Not only to make the owners of the clubs rich, but to get behind the team, support the team, and football on the telly without fans. Come on, how boring is it? You see what do you see? 1 or 2 games out of 10 that are good. The rest are pretty mediocre.
Do you when you're watching it on the telly? Do you have the canned crowd noise on or off? Just
I have the canned crowd noise on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my neighbours must have think we've all gone crazy in our house when we played Tottenham. We got that late equaliser. Oh, it was unbelievable. There was all my family all jumping up and down. A fantastic performance and result for us. I thought we was dead and buried.
It's funny, isn't it, that I guess this is why we all love football, right? It's because even today in this cynical world, it still has the capacity to generate feelings like that. You know, that sort of unbelievable. What a comeback that was. I mean, what was it? 82 minutes, dead and buried. But only football can do that, can't it?
Yeah, we can. It could do it a lot more if we got rid of VAR.
Yeah.
I think it's the worst thing that's ever happened to football. All we really needed to have was something in the ball that when it crossed over the line, it bleeped in his ear. That's all we needed. And we need the linesmen and the referees to talk rather than the linesman just stands there and don't want him to kick the ball back to the team to show him he's taking favoritism. I never can understand that. The ball's at the linesman's foot, kick it back. Common sense.
Well, it definitely seems to be a common theme amongst pundits and sort of football fans alike that VAR isn't working. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. But
like everything elsewhere, there's loads of people come up with these ideas, and they're most probably very, very intelligent people, but they've not got too much common sense, and that's what the world's going wrong for me. We have too many brains and not enough common sense. People have got to see the light, and hopefully they will before it's all too late for all of us.
Indeed. Well, I mean, if anyone watching this stream, this particular interview, has got any common sense, you'll be getting onto Amazon a little bit later if you haven't already done so, and you'll be picking up Bill's new book. Bill, if you don't know if you want to show it to us once again, the cover, so people can keep an eye out for it. There it is, Bill Gardner's new book, Bill, West Ham legend, and Bill's book, The Man, the Myth, the Legend, available now via Amazon. Also via email, Bill, if you want to give us that email address once again.
ABE, Bill Gardner, all one word, 66@gmail.com. And that'll be a signed copy I'll get off to you.
Smashing. Well, that's super. And of course, it's a little bit late to get it in time for Christmas now, but as most of us are probably going to be celebrating Christmas with our families in January, you're probably still in time to get a late Christmas present.
A lot of people, if they read it, if they could put a comment on the Amazon site for me, if they liked it. If they don't like it, you don't like it. But just put the truth, you know, because like I say, all I've ever wanted is the truth.
Do you think that's it for you now, Bill? In terms of the books go, you've had.
I want to do another one. This is the one I wanted to get out, and I wouldn't have done it with no one else only my mate was here.
Yeah,
because it's different Graeme.
Well, there you go.
If he puts his head, he could go on and become a really good author. I'm not sure if this sort of thing will be what he will make his dough out. I think that maybe maybe a bit of science fiction might come into it. Mind you, being a West Ham fan, we live in science fiction, man, don't we?
Don't we just? Well, perhaps we can get Moz on. If that, you know, if his book does come out, we'll have Moz on for a chat at some point in the near future.
Yeah.
So we look forward to that. But Bill, it's been an absolute pleasure. As always, chatting to you. Thank you for your time. I wish you every success with the new book, and let's hope all the West Ham fans can see you back at the stadium very, very soon, along with everyone else. As Bill said there, he's always happy to talk to anyone.
Stay united, all West Ham fans, and not all football fans of every club. We've just got to stay united, get through this horrible period in our lives, and hope for something better around the corner. Yeah,
let's hope so. Until then, just leaves me to say happy Christmas, Bill.
Just one thing, Graeme.
Yes, buddy, go on.
All the people out there that are watching this, if you've got somebody old near you, just have a word with them. Just say good morning to them. Just talk to them. People are lonely.
Yeah, lovely stuff.
Appreciate it.
Go and knock on your neighbour's door if they're elderly. Go make sure they're all right. A little bit of kindness goes a long way, especially at this time of year.
Maybe you'll give us a Christmas present this year. A bit of kindness and understanding. You know, if you do that, you ain't a bad person.
There you go. Here.
All right. Thank you.
Bill, it's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you very much for your time. Wish you the very best of luck with the book. And who knows, perhaps we'll be back here in another 16 years' time looking at your next one. You never know.
Yeah. 16 years' time, I'll be well under the ground.
You never know, mate. You never know. Bill, all the best. Thank you very much. And we'll catch up again soon.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.